Right, this is the start of the groundwork. We're digging out the existing garden with a micro digger and breaker. We're lifting all the existing turf and patio and using a 1-ton dumper for the rest of the project. Looking over Daniel Shea's garden design, it's a geometric design, which means lots of straight lines, rectangles and squares. The very formal grid formation patio is then contrasted by the flowing lines of the paths which direct you around the garden, where there's water features, feature walls, and then the whole design is softened by all the planting. Working on this project is a garden designer, 2 landscapers, 2 electricians, a bricklayer, a plasterer, a tiler, and 2 gardeners. So this is the first grab away, and this takes 16 tonnes at a time. There'll be 3 grabs in total, and all this will be recycled. They'll use the soil somewhere else and the hardcore. So we're getting down to our depths now. You can see the blue datum points that's marking the tops of the patio, so we know how deep to go. And again, we use these blue pegs all the way around the garden to get our dig out. And you can see the footprint now of the paths. There's a 1/80 fall over the whole garden. So the footing being dug out the back, there's a feature wall going across here, and then there's going to be a retaining wall along this dog leg, which is going to retain that bit of bank and be planting. So again, utilising the 1-ton dumper, bringing in all the concrete. There's a ready-mix lorry on the road. We then run steel reinforcing bars through all the footings, and these upright rebars is going to bind the feature wall to the footing. These are the conduits for the electrics. The low voltage cables are going to come up through the patio. A ground stabilisation membrane, very important, especially on clay. This is just a thin layer of MOT, and we can work out all our levels. Again, using the dumper to bring in all the bricks. You can see the hollow blocks which will build the reinforced wall, and then we're using high density concrete blocks for the main retaining wall. And here you can see they sit over the upright rebar. So we've marked all our cables with hazard tape. That's mainly to stop us damaging our own cables. Now we can start bringing in the layers of the actual sub-base, which is going to give the garden all its structural integrity. And here you can see the retaining walls now built, and the feature wall just going up. So more layers of MOT, again spread and whacked in layers. You can see the datum pegs where we're bringing up the levels. And for the final layer, we're just bringing in by hand, so we can just top up and get an exact level of where we want. And the patio will have slightly more build-up than where the clay pavers are going to go, and that's because it has slightly thinner slabs. And you can see here in red is where the patio is going to go. You can see the footprint of where the steps are going to go, and on the right-hand side and in front of it, you can see where the paths are going to go. There is a basic soakaway going where the digger is. And this is the patio slabs being brought in now. It's Indian sandstone, 600 by 600, pre-sealed. It's a dry treat formula, which means it can be sealed before it's laid. This is the feature wall, so reinforcing rods are dropped down the middle, and then the whole wall is topped up with concrete. So along with the reinforcing rods in the footing and the uprights, which bind it all together, you have an extremely hard structure. This is the first slab going down for the patio. We've set out the tread of one of the steps, so we can just use that as a guide to start. And then we're working away along the house as a baseline, and we'll continue that line with a string line. You can see where the slabs are cut round our lighting rigs, which we put in earlier, which are coming up where the lighting is going to go. And there's lighting all around all the patio and all the paths. We're actually using spirit levels to get the fall. There's datum pegs set in the ground, so we don't actually use string lines. We find it much prefer just using the level and datum pegs to get our falls. We're using tile spacers to space out the slabs. It is a natural stone, so there is a quite variance in the stone, so we're checking with string lines as we go, but generally speaking, it's very good. And we're doing a full contact bed with a slurry primer. And the slurry primer is because once these slabs are sealed before laying, they don't bond very well to the cement. So you use a bonding bridge, which is what we're painting on the back of the slabs, and that increases the strength. This is the first layer of render going on, the scratch coat, and there'll be a top coat on that to dress it and finish it. We're using stainless steel beading on the edges, which won't rust. So just looking back at the geometric design, we've got this patio which is in grid formation, and you can see that coming together now. Nice big haunch on the patio. It's very important. And then we can build this smaller patio, exactly the same technique as the first one, using a slurry primer, full contact bed, 1/80 full. And you can see where all the planting is going to go around it, in between the feature wall and the retaining wall. So now we can cut out for the steps. There's going to be quite a significant level drop outside these doors. So there's 3 steps going up. And one of the ways to do it would be to brick it all up and then clad the bricks in stone. However, the lighting that's going in the faces of the risers is so substantial, and the risers are so thin, that we actually use the slab on edge to build the exterior of the steps, and then we're going to at a later date fill in with brickwork, which we'll see later on. Made it a lot easier. Clay pavers going in, we're bedding them all on a mortar bed. Could have bedded the edging and then infilled them on sand like you would a driveway. However, because we're leaving out these spaces for the lighting, there's 2 lighting rigs coming up, and there are drainage columns with gravel underneath each light. We didn't want all the sand being washed down into the columns. We're laying them all individually on mortar. The other reason for bedding each block individually is that you get these absolutely fantastically accurate patterns. When you're trying to infill afterwards, you never get the same effect as you would laying systematically and just getting it really accurate. And from here you can start to see where the paths give the directional flow around the garden. We'll just use a bit of wood and a mallet just to knock them down, sit them in, and again a nice big haunch. Everything has a nice big haunch. These are our steps. You can see we've now infilled with concrete to strengthen it all, and we've got these lighting rigs set up, and then we can then go in and infill with bricks. We slurry primed the inside of the slabs and then infilled with bricks and then topped up, ready for the treads to go on, which basically means we didn't have to try and core drill through a slab and a high density blocks to get the lights in. We just had to drill through the slab. The treads go on. We're adding the slurry primer to the bed instead of priming the underside of the slab. Again, just makes it easier trying to turn these huge steps upside down. They're very heavy. And again, all the lighting's designed so it's all retractable, so if anything ever did blow or short out, the whole thing can be threaded out, which again is why we did the method of laying the slab on edge. So prepping the soil now, so just breaking up all the subsoil which we've tracked over throughout the whole project over the last few weeks. So breaking up, putting air into it. We're adding conditioner. This is just organic matter. It will break down into nothing, but it will also invite all the microbes, organisms, worms, all the things that keep soil alive, really. We're just introducing it. It'll also stop the clay from over-compacting again. The backs of the walls are sealed with bitumen paint, and then we double up with damp-proof membrane. And then we run gravel all the way along the back, and then there's a soakaway dug inside the flower bed, which is basically just rubble covered with fabric membrane. This allows the whole flower bed to drain if it ever did fill with water. And the reason we do that is to stop water coming through the weep holes and waterlogging the lawn. So here the ever edge going in for the lawn. One thing about professional garden design is you can see how big the planting areas are. They have huge amounts of dramatic planting, and that's one of the main key features. Great for wildlife, it's great for everything. And we're adding soil conditioner to the beds. This is a lawn grade silica soil which we're using to top dress the lawn. It's very free draining, but it holds moisture, and it's not too rich, and it's exactly what lawn wants. Again, going back to the design, this is the water feature. And these are points of interest within the design. And the lawn going down, this is Trident, general purpose lawn turf. It's very good, we have very good results with this turf. And we just lay it in stripes. This is the design clad going on the feature wall. The wall's been sealed, the back of the tiles are primed with adhesive. The then bulk of the adhesive is notch troweled onto the wall, which the tile is then applied to. The last thing to do is finish this water feature. So we're laying a footing, and the electrics and inlet for the water just comes in through the footing. That just creates a continuous loop of water. Very, very simple, but very effective. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching.